Greetings, flesh creatures. It is I, Megatron. On behalf of TFYLP, I want to congratulate you for listening to the most refined collective podcast on this miserable little planet Earth. Yes. Here you'll find knowledgeable fans discussing every aspect of Transformers and beyond. Now, enjoy the show while I continue my path to complete conquest of all of you miserable biological entities. Predacons, terrorize!
Hello, welcome to TFYLP episode 433. We are live tonight on Monday, June 7th. I'm Lucas, and tonight I am joined by Anna.
Good evening.
And Peter.
Forever Destron.
And Christian.
What up?
So, Christian, it seems like it's been a while.
Yeah. I was on, let's see, you were on vacation, and then
Yeah.
I was on vacation. Anna was on vacation, then I was on vacation, and then I went back to the movies for the first time in over a year. Now I'm
That
back.
must have been weird.
It was.
Yeah, I still haven't
okay.
done that. I was trying to. I think we're gonna go see the Black Widow whenever that comes out. That'll probably be our first one. It's coming out on our anniversary, so what a
Wow.
better way to spend an anniversary than to go see.
And it's always been bad. No, this was some special variety of garbage that they served me. That's okay. I'll try.
I
Well,
was-
congratulations.
I was wondering if it's like fast food, where if you don't have it for a while and then you have it, and you're like, God, why did I do this to myself?
Nope, it was not that.
I had that experience with fast food since we stopped eating it for most of the pandemic and then eventually ordered some DoorDash for Taco Bell, like just randomly one day. We were just like, oh God, everything we cook is so much better. And I have to eat this cold because it's delivered. Ugh.
Yeah.
Probably the worst thing to have delivered. I didn't think
Well,
about
McDonald's French fries has to be the worst. Like if
that.
it's
That'll be
cold.
worse.
Yeah.
So.
But this isn't changes in our eating habits or changing in our movie going habits. This is
Changes in our
changes in
robot eating habits.
robot eating habits. Yes.
There you go. So yeah,
I
so
started out
Sometimes you
not
get-
eating robots. I still
Sometimes you get
don't
toy
eat
robots that are small enough they're bite sized, right? A lot of people take bites this big.
yeah, tonight Anna talks about how she just keeps collecting smaller and smaller robots. She's like,
Yes.
Legends class is not small enough for me anymore. Now I have to do super small.
Legends minus. Eventually it'll be microscope class.
Well,
That'll
I
solve
mean,
a
you
lot of
didn't
space
get the
problems.
slugs from the Unicron. You could probably buy that off someone, right? Off of eBay. The
No, those are transforming figures though, so
True.
I want smaller and smaller transforming figures.
True.
Those are a little too big, Christian.
Just a little bit. Yeah.
I get them smaller. I remember when I got one of my first like fancy Gundam models back in the day, and it came with a pilot that was about that size. And I was
Uh-huh.
just like, how do you paint this? The pictures on the box show it painted. How would you paint those? Toothpicks. That's the answer. Anywho.
So yeah, so tonight we are talking about our changing focus with our Transformers collecting. Like how's our focus changed? How has our collecting changed over the years? So
I want Peter to go first.
Let's finish the intro. Was that? I mean, we've got lots of intro left, right?
well, that was one of the things, so some of the people, it's like, I don't know, Peter, I'd be interested to see what you say as well, just because it's like, I know with like, Rick and Nick and all that, it's like, I collect all of the things. And I know that's kind of that you do as well. Like your scope is pretty broad. So yeah, whereas I feel like myself, like, I don't know, I know Sean is kind of the same way, and Christian, you've changed over the years as well, where it's like, I don't know, I feel like I've been crazy and like, collected different stuff constantly. So
Is that, so is
There's
that,
your intro, Destron. Your
that's
turn.
my
You're
that's
up.
my cue. Okay. Hi. Um, in Christmas of 1984, little Peter got a toy. It was called Jazz, and the neighbor kid had a bunch of like little bumblebees and little red bumblebee, like it was like a red bumblebee, and some other card guys that real on the Transformers cartoon. There was that one guy whose name we can never remember, the one with the magnet on his hand. I remember it now, but like 4-year-old me couldn't remember all these names. So I got my first Transformer for Christmas, and it wasn't one of the small ones. It was one of the bigger ones. It was Jazz. And it was freaking awesome. And in the box, I have a picture of me like opening the box. It's pretty cool. And in the box, there was a poster, and you open the poster, and there was like 28 figures, whatever, on there, and you're like, whoa. And little 4-year-old Destron told himself that he's going to have all of these figures, and it was pie in the sky because that's a lot of toys for little brain. And then the next year got more toys, got Twin Twist, Top Spin, a couple of the smaller, cheaper ones, and those had a different poster. And that poster had all the guys from the previous poster, which my sister had torn up, and then my parents threw it away because it was torn, because you don't want to keep things that are ripped, and you don't want to throw things away, and you want to make sure that you keep things in good shape. That way you don't have to throw them away. That way you have to keep and maintain and hold and add and progress. So that next poster, we kept it in really good shape, and it had all the things from the previous poster with a bunch of stuff, and including things that weren't even in the cartoon. So then a little 5-year-old me made a promise to himself that we're going to get all of these things, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Then you throw in G.I. Joe, Wheeled Warriors. We were already doing Masters of the Universe. Add in GoBots because GoBots were cheaper, so I was getting small GoBots in addition to the Transformers that I was getting. And then you just keep adding and 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 adding, and then brain damage.
And at some point, like, the checklist went away. Like, they didn't really have checklists after a while, right? So then there's a website that came around, TFWiki, right?
No.
TFU.info first.
Well, okay. So after Gen 1 ended and Gen 2 began, before I got on the internet, I started making a catalog, and I started making little. I got graph paper, and I made a little column for accessories and a column for paperwork and a column for cards and tech specs and robot points and whatever. And, so for Gen 2, I was able to keep track with that. Just like with Gen 1, I was able to keep track with the posters, and I'd made spreadsheets based on the posters and things that I'd seen and things that I'd known, and like things that I'd found at flea markets, and just anecdotal things that I'd heard from people that ended up, a lot of them not being true. Like, I saw a Transformer that was this big. I'm like, yeah, Fortress Maximus. No. So it had like a wrist firing off. The Transformers are cool. I'm like, that's not a Transformer, that's a Shogun Warrior. You don't know what you're talking about. You're 10. You don't know anything. Like, old man, go away. And so anyway, so I started making spreadsheets and like taking notes and like meticulous notes and making sure that I had everything written down, and that everything that I wrote down I was plugging into my head, making sure that I never forgot all the things. Oh, it just sort of crazy echo. And so all the things are in my head now, and you start staring at the posters, and you start staring at the instruction manual, so that you can cross-reference where the errors are in the posters, where the errors are in the instruction manuals, and you memorize the shapes of the sticker sheets from the instruction manuals or the backs of the cards. That way you can make sure that if you see a sticker sheet in the wild, you know exactly who it belongs to, you know exactly who these accessories belong to, you know exactly, all this stuff. That way you can piece it all together. You start identifying, like, if you find a broken transformer or a broken transformer part, you know that this part goes to this transformer. That way you know if you find a bin full of stuff at a flea market or a yard sale, you can put it all together. So that way the progression of your collection is never slowed down. You always are adding to the pile of things that you want to have in the totality of the collection, which will be, since you promised it to yourself, finished at some point. So Gen 2, we started making spreadsheets, and then Gen 2 kind of went away, and then we got online, and then we started finding out about, we already knew about some of the UK stuff. I've talked about that in a previous episode. I had a subscription to Toy Trader magazine, and it talked about Rumbler and Slicer and Omega Supreme and Turbomaster and Windmill and all those guys. So I was aware of those things. And then you start finding out about Raiden and Lio Kaiser and Landcross and all of that stuff. So then you start adding that to the spreadsheet and categorizing it by year, then finding out what you're missing from the other countries, adding all that to the spreadsheet. And then you find TFU.info and just generally ATT. ATT was where I learned all of my madness. Well, I didn't learn the madness. I think I just kind of like form fitted it like Play-Doh through your fingers, like that, and made it all work.
So I really wish, Peter, that you had set up like a chart in the background with like string going back and forth like on the chart, because I think that
He
really would
sees
have
the
added
chart,
to the visual.
Lucas.
Oh, okay.
We don't see the chart. He can see it.
I can see the chart. That was pretty visual.
It's all in there. It's all in there. And sorry.
I know that you're talking about like all the stuff, right? And all the G1 stuff and whatever. Did you ever consider, like, when the movie came out and whatnot, or just whatever various lines where it's an offshoot, right? Like if it's bots or it's like whatever it might be, something like that. Where did you ever think, you know what,
go-to line?
No, but
it's your go-to offshoot. This isn't real Transformers line.
No, but what I'm saying is that the promise he made as a child, it was G1 Transformers, right? And so, like, theoretically, Beast Wars or whatever it may be, something like that, where you could, I don't know, I personally could consider that an offshoot, to where it's like, I don't necessarily, like, I don't have to have this. I can only, like, I can be okay not collecting that. Did you ever think of that? Or is it like, if there's a Hasbro on it, like, it's like, well, nope, sorry, gotta have it.
When Beast Wars came out, I was really resistant because the designs look completely different. They were made by Kenner now. It initially didn't say Transformers Beast Wars. It said Beast Wars Transformers. Really small Transformers underneath. And I was like, oh, what are they doing here? What is this? And I poured over the packaging and I'm looking at them like, they've got a character named Dinobot. It's a character named Dinobot, not a team named Dinobot. Who the hell, 15-year-old me is like, who the hell is doing this? Who has done it? Candid camera? Is this a joke? Are you messing with me? So it took me a while to get into it. And it wasn't until I had to skip school. I had to skip school to watch my first episode of Beast Wars, which was episode 10, Victory. I think it was episode 10. Anyway, Victory. It was the one where the Predacons pretend like they got blown up, and then there's the Primal, they get the Axelon to take off and then crashes again, but Primal like flies and saves it with the Superman music, and I was just like, what the beans is this? This is I'm gonna have to buy all these toys, god damn it. Okay. And so I began, and I haven't really stopped, and there hasn't been a line yet that has completely turned me off. I always come around, even the ones that I pause on. Kiss Player, I'm looking at you. And what else? I mean, there are a couple of things that slowed me down. And I was like, oh, I'll get to you later. And then I got to them later.
Well, there have been changes, right? Like, you didn't initially bin things, right? Like, you probably initially had everything out when you first started.
Yes, my tote life is a sad story. And yes, short story or short answer. Yes, the totes were a necessity thing that spiraled way out of control. And you couple that with my need to continue to buy stuff, even though I'm not displaying any of it. And I found this really neat way to just have both, where I can buy everything and store it, but it's still displayed because look how nice and neat these racks are. And I can go in them anytime, and every time I open a tote, it's like a treasure hunt. Because I know it's in the totes, but it's like fun to see them again. Like, oh, look what's in here. You're my friends. And yeah.
It is kind of like that.
Then you also eventually added some third party too, right? Like, that was something you had to change as well.
Because a lot of people, that's kind of like their lane is.
Yeah, they don't.
I'm only gonna do official because, like, I know a lot of people like that, and part of it is that not that they're like against third party, it's that they just like I can't do all of it. So
they like to pay their rent.
I like to pay my rent too. And it was really tricky during the first divorce, because there's been multiples, to do both. But I came back around and was able to catch up on the things that I had missed. But as far as third party, I got into it easily enough. I love Transformers, and I don't care who makes them, because that Ultra Magnus was Ultra Magnus. City Commander was Ultra Magnus, and Protector was Rodimus Prime, and I needed a Rodimus Prime, and I needed an Ultra Magnus, and they plugged onto the official characters. No, well, Warbot Defender, that's obviously Springer, and I need him to hang out with Magnus. So we'll just buy him, and we'll buy the next thing, and we'll buy the next thing, and okay. So there, with the third party, there is a point where I mean, I don't need everything from third party because there are so many doubles and triples and quadruples and septuples of everything.
Right.
Because how many Minosaurs do we need? How many rat bats and
Springers.
poorly designed springers and confusing weapony laser beaks? Do we need? I don't know. There was some stuff that was just like, this is not good from the outset, and I don't want it. So I didn't get it, and I didn't have the need. It didn't feel like I was betraying myself by not getting those things because they weren't this on the poster where I was like looking at it and working through whatever I'm continuing to work through.
One thing I think is interesting is that I feel like if there was only one, like say Masterpiece RC, right? I would, I feel like we'd all probably be super excited with it. Like when the Warbot Defender came out, right? Like we're all probably like, oh, this is a fantastic Springer, this is really cool and all that, right? But like now that there's like 20 Springers or whatever, like I don't know however many there are, right? Like I feel like every single one, like it almost makes it worse because then you nitpick and you're like, you know what, like the Fans Toys one is really good, but it like has this one thing I don't like, and the MMC one is really good, but it has that one thing I don't like, and Fans Project one is kind of garbage now, like need to throw that away on its own shelf. Like I don't know, like I almost feel like, and that's the same way with classics too, that like I was 100% happy with classics back in the day, but like most of that stuff, there's a handful of figures, the Optimus is still great, the Bumblebee I really enjoy, all that, like, but so like a lot of those it's like I can't do it anymore.
You bring up an interesting point, and I agree that a number of the more recent versions of said characters, Optimus Prime, Bumblebee, Springers, whether they're official or unofficial, whoever, have replaced in my display shelf, which I mean I'm not fully set up yet, but they've replaced in my classics display whoever came before, whether it's Warbot Defender or whatever. And for the third party things, I'm okay with nitpicking and finding the one that fits best for whatever aesthetic I'm going for, whether it's the Legends classic scale or the Masterpiece type stuff. But part of my collecting is I will have everything, and even though they've been replaced in the display, I buy doubles of everything I open. So all those classics, none of them are left on the display anymore. I kept my Reveal the Shield Bumblebee redeco of the classics Bumblebee because I have Azim's hubcap kit on there, and I have Bumper too somewhere. So I kept those specifically because my friend made a kit, and I love that kit, both those kits. And so I'm keeping the kits. They might not be on display because Bumper's still around, but Hubcap has been replaced. But Hubcap's not going anywhere. Hubcap's hanging out with my Fall of Cybertron Grimlock with all the upgrade kits and things, and Warbot Defender over here in the "you've been retired, but I'm not getting rid of you" section. But as far as like Classics Optimus Prime, Classics Megatron, Classics Cliffjumper, Mirage, Grimlock, Ramjet, all the entire 06 Classics line, they're all replaced in display, but they're all sealed in the totes. So I get my cake and I eat it too. I got to enjoy the toys loose and open, and now I get to treasure them in their boxes.
I think that's something that really like varies and changes within people as well. Because, some people do what Peter does and have one version of a character on a shelf, but then they get rid of their other versions when they get the new one. Unlike Peter, they don't keep them. And then there's people who keep all their versions, and there's people who, that really varies between us. And I think that I've changed between doing various different versions of that as I've gone forward. At first it was like the one per character idea was like this like hard rule that I had. And over the years, it's kind of changed to where the one per character rule is an excuse not to have to buy things I don't like.
Right. I mean, that's ultimately, it's like, buy the things that you like. It's just hard for some of us. And I don't know. I know that, I'm kind of the same way as you, Peter. Like if I get into a line, like, eventually I'm probably going to complete that line. Like, there's some exceptions to that. But, like, that's why I know, like, Cyberverse, like, Anna loves, buying, like, there's a handful of Cyberverse figures you've gotten. And Christian, you've been the same way, right? Where you've gotten a couple Cyberverse and you're okay with a couple of those. But, like, for me, it's like, okay, I don't, like, I just can't do that. It's like almost all or nothing. And I don't know what it is, why I have to be that way. But yeah.
And that's caused you to have more severe changes in your collection than a lot of us. You had a huge third-party collection, and now you have very little third-party. You, like, at one point, you had experienced, like, all the big third-party toys over a couple-year block, and now you've kind of gone out of them. So
You also bought and sold large swaths of Legends, if I'm remembering that correctly.
yeah, that too. You were like a prolific Legends collector in like year one of Legends being big.
Like you said, like, I've had most of the third party, like, all the stuff that was coming out from like 2016 to 2019, 2020, somewhere around there, like, where I had, pretty much all of it, and then sold it all, and, I don't know, would I have a masterpiece, all that kind of stuff, and then I used some of that money to buy pretty much all the Legends that were out at the time, myself too, and then I decided to get out of that. Part of the thing, for me has been just Hasbro, because before, like, I always have enjoyed the regular toys, but it used to be that they weren't good enough, if that makes sense. Like, I had to have this alternate, nicer version. Whereas now I feel like that, yes, there are nicer versions, like, it's not the end all be all, but it's like, it's good enough. Like, it's met my level of that I'm good with having the, classics or whatever, the new Optimus, the Earthrise Optimus, or the, Earthrise Starscream or whatnot, like, as my representations of those characters. So, but there's times though too when those Legends figures, like, you see the whatever, like the new age, Megatron or Magic Square Megatron or whatever, or some of those Legends figures, and you're like, oh man, that's really nice. It is kind of like a mini masterpiece, that you see. You're like, I can't believe that they did whatever engineering that they put in that figure to get it to do those things at that scale is incredibly impressive. And so, but I just try to convince you to buy the Mana, so then that way I can check them out.
And that's a great strategy, to have a friend who buys the things you don't, so you can go and check out their thing, and then you don't have to buy it.
We clown you a lot, Lucas, for saying things are mini masterpieces or whatever, but you are absolutely correct when it comes to the engineering on Legends in the last 3 years. They have gotten so consistently better, and just I am impressed. But since they're third party, I can have that. I have that hard stop where I have the option now, instead of just an automatic go for me. I got to think about this. I'm still missing X, Y, and Z from over here, and I can spend, we've all got budgets, so I can spend $500 on their Legends, whoever the beans, or I can spend $500 on this and check things off the kill list and feel really good, because checking off boxes is nice. Or I can buy some Legend stuff and be like, I don't know where to put this. Cool.
Right. And that's kind of the way with me, that, again, if I didn't have that whole display, but I feel like overall that unless you're going to have a city full of Legends figures, like, Anna, I know that you have like your tables set up and
It's
whatnot.
fun. It's too full though. I need like a second one.
Right. So, yeah, but that's what for me. So then I have to have all of those. And then by the time you have all of those, it's a lot of money. Especially now, like the Legends figures is one of those things when they first came out, they were like $20 and they weren't that great and whatever. But, and then they kind of like hit like a pretty good line of, okay, they're $30 or $40, but they're really good. And then now they're like $90. And you're like, wait a minute, like that's more than I was paying for Masterpiece. I mean, obviously I know like all prices go up and inflation, all that kind of thing. And they're
These have
incredibly
gone
impressive.
up.
But yeah, like it's, I know Anna, you were Ron was talking about in the chat about those new Legends Devastators, and those look really cool. Like New Age and Magic Square are both putting them out, but then they were like what, $300 or whatnot, right?
Just today, it was possibly revealed that there's actually a fourth set you have to have in order to get the New Age Devastator, which is the actual body of Devastator, and then you plug everybody into it, which will probably push that price up towards $400 instead of $300. It's a rumor right now.
It's the size of a deluxe.
Don't know
And
for
it's
sure.
Or whatever.
It's the size. It'll be a Voyager size, and it'll be the same price as the Toy World Constructor. When
Yeah,
you
they're
said that.
between Voyager
Why?
and Leader. Yeah, they're not deluxe sizes.
I know that
Combiners.
sizes aren't prices, but like, come on.
That's asking a lot.
Stuff.
Yeah.
That's asking a lot.
It really is, because even the Magic Square Minosaur, you know, that one comes to about $250 if you get the cheapest price on everything. It's more like $300 if you get the average prices on everything. And, you know, that's a Minosaur that is a liter-size figure. It's nice, but it's a liter-size Minosaur, you know? So,
Yeah. I mean, it's incredibly impressive. It looks really good.
Sure.
It's one of the
I mean,
better
that's the thing
Minosaurs
that's
out
like
there.
hard. Right. So, but yeah, it's
yeah, it's hard to compare because like I have the Transformation Minosaur still, and like that set really has its problems, right? But that set is worth about $300 on the secondary market, so I could sell that whole set, which is enormous and complex, to get my Magic Square set, which is much smaller, better, but the same price. So it's hard to convince yourself to do that sometimes. But I think, like, in this conversation, you know, we're talking about how our collecting habits changed. And in a lot of ways, we're talking about how our collecting habits stay the same. Because Peter just really talked about, like, adding more checklists over and over. Really weird caveat. Interesting caveat. I shouldn't have said weird. Interesting caveat that you don't make checklists when it comes to third party. Like, you're able to turn that off. And then, Lucas, you know, you kind of have that catch-em-all towards anything you collect. So that means that you do skip certain things because of that. I think it's interesting to kind of see those commonalities. Like, you know, we change a lot of things, but we also kind of stay consistent.
yeah. I mean, I guess that's true. It's like, you know, when I go for a line, I'm gonna eventually get it all, and it's not even. I don't know. It's one of those things I tell myself, like, oh, I'm not gonna have them all, but then, you know, it's just what happens.
And I keep trying that. I keep trying to, like, complete something. You know, every few years it'll be like, I'll just fall into it and be like, I should complete this set. You know, like I just completed the Cyberverse Deluxes the other day, thanks to Lucas wanting to get rid of his few. And now I have them all. And it's just like, wait, you know, probably out of the, what is there, 11 of them or so, something like that. Probably out of those 11, there are, you know, 8 really solid ones and 3 stinkers. Why do I have the stinkers? You know, why do I have the Shockwave? He's good, but then he doesn't transform. So,
Well,
He falls
and that's
over.
what, like, it's Hasbro has broken me from that completionism thing. I know, Peter, you're still fighting the good fight, but I know there's been a handful of characters that it's like, I can't have this in my collection. Like, this thing is hot garbage. Anna would
I
argue
like
that's a great
those.
figure,
I
right?
like those.
I haven't opened a single one of them.
Ever? Like, none of the
Ever.
ones you've ever had?
I take that back. I take that back. When we went to see, I want to say it was either the last night or Bumblebee. They were handing out. It had to have been
Oh.
the last night.
It was the
They were
last
handing them
one.
out. They were handing them out at theaters, and the kids opened theirs, and they gave me those. They're like, "These are hot garbage. Here you go." And I was like, "Oh, these are hot garbage. I will keep them forever." Bloop.
When I'm talking to my students, I will often have a couple of those on my desk, and I will I will push them into my lap and start playing with them because I'm on Zoom. So they can't really see what I'm doing, but they're very handy for that because they're so simplistic. But they're enough to give my hands something to do. So I love them for that reason. And they're very fun to paint because they're pretty much the size of D&D minis. So they're the same kind of experience of simple painting.
They would make fun game tokens. Yeah.
They would make really fun game tokens. Yeah, they would.
I mean,
but
I had
that
that's the only
time.
argument that I would make for those things is that you can paint them because they're unpainted. But like the bots are so much better.
Breaking news. I'm sorry. The boy just came downstairs. He's watching us, and he came down to say it was the Bumblebee movie. It was. You got those toys. We got those at the Bumblebee movie. Okay, so
no.
Breaking news. Thank you, boy, for the update.
We appreciate it. Accuracy is very important to us as an important media outlet.
Yes.
But I tried that with the tiny turbo changers too. I told myself I was going to get whole sets of them, and I made it through like a third of a set, and I was just like, these are the only ones I like. I have to stop. There's no reason for me to want to complete them. I'm like an anti-completionist, which I know drives a bunch of other fans crazy because it's like, oh, you almost have this full set. Like when the Seacons came out, and I got like 4 of them out of the 6, and I was like, I'm done. I'm good. I don't need to build Piranacon. I'm happy. This is fun. They're pretty. These are the cute ones, and I was done. And that decision made me way happier than spending the other like $80 to get the other 2 would have made me. So like I'm a much happier Anna because I didn't complete the set.
That's a crazy person decision. But I do something similar on a line scale. Because unless you want to count bots, which I don't think is complete yet because it's not done, I haven't completed a line in 10 years. I completed alternators and I completed power core combiners both in 2011.
But did you get all the deco variations on power core combiners?
No. The one deco variation? No, I did not get that one.
There's two.
What's the second one? There's Huffer and who?
There's Huffer, and then the last wave 5-pack set. There's a constructor thing where there's the light scuff marks with a different shade of green on the center bot versus dark scuff marks with a darker shade of green.
If you weren't you, I'd say you were lying to me.
He said
You're
no.
you, so I believe you.
Believe me, it's a hard one to find.
That doesn't count enough for me, I don't think. United EX does, and I've been working on that kind of for years, but they're hard to find over here.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't get imported, so there's none around.
They didn't get imported because no one liked power core combiners except for a crazy few. And why would you want the Japanese redecos?
Love power core combiners. You have 3 out of 4 people on the show right now who really like power core combiners. They're one of those things I almost completed. Like I started buying them and it was like I'm really close to completing these, and I realized that I had every individual mold, and I said, oh wait, okay, I'm done because I have all the molds, I have all the weirdness. Like I wanted every mold because every mold is gosh darn weird. Like they're all bizarre, and you know there's all sorts of different target master type guys you can get from the 2-pack sets, and like all of that's appealing, but repaints are never appealing to me, so I just had to pull the plug at one point. I have a couple repaints and I stare at them sometimes and think, do I need to put these on eBay or what do I do with them? But Power Core is so cool that it's almost hard to get rid of them.
So I just wonder if like, you know, every once in a while, like, you know, Hasbro listens to the podcasts and they're like, oh, these guys are like average collectors. And then they're like, oh, 3/4 of the cast like has almost completed all of Power Core combiners. And they're like, no, you guys are crazy. Like, we're not listening to anything you say because
that's why we don't get invited to FanFest Friday.
Right.
That's true. We don't get invited. When I joined 3 years ago, I was like, oh, we're going to get invited to stuff. No. That's okay. On completing stuff, I think at the time it came out, I was 1 figure away from completing Titan's Return. Titan's Return. And I I did not want that last figure, so I did not complete that line. I was like, oh, I could just get it and say I have all Titans. Yay, I did it. But then I was like, well, I don't want Titan Master Brawn. It's so dumb. I do not want it, so I did not buy it. It was great.
That's funny. I have
Master
that.
Brawn.
That's one of the few I have.
I have Headmaster Brawn, and I bought an adapter kit for my iGear Brawny or whatever his name was, and I put the head cradle in there so I could put Headmaster Brawn inside the iGear little guy.
More
and it
power to you, man.
Looks great. I love it.
I was like, this is really, really stupid. And then they were like, oh, look, it's actual Legend Scale Brawn. That's like a real figure in the same line. So I'm just going to get that instead. So I did. Yeah, I've never felt like I need to complete lines except the two I mentioned and BotBots. And I don't believe that in the end of my collection I will have all the BotBots anymore. Probably winnow those down after I finish them.
We'll
that actually surprises me.
I thought, yeah.
Okay. Here's the thing. I love all the BotBots. They surpass the point where I could easily remember all of their names in Series 4. 1 through 3, I got pretty solidly. 4 was like, yeah, give me a second. And 5 was just like, I can't add any more of these names.
Yeah.
But they're all up there. They look great as a unit. It's just, will I always have however many there are now, 275, plus Series 6, 7, 8, and 9, and all the vehicles and whatever. Maybe. We'll see.
Since I'm having fun tonight pointing out all of our idiosyncrasies, I do want to point out there is one form of completionism you do enjoy, Christian, from time to time.
I am the only one who enjoys doing it.
You do, but it's fun for you. Like, I see, like, absolute happiness from you when you do it. You really get excited about it.
I have picked a new target for that. Anna's talking about my mold completion, where I get every iteration of a mold that has ever come out. I did it with Classics Optimus Prime and then sold half of those. I did it with Prime and kept all of those. Animated Optimus Prime, all of the Robots in Disguise car robots, Autobot Brothers, I got all those. Working on Spy Changers and GoBots, kinda. My new target is Beast Wars Optimus Primal.
It's a good target.
What about Siege Megatron?
No.
We're talking about Bat Primal, right?
No, I don't like the Bat Primal mold, actually.
Okay.
I know. But yeah, did I do it again with anybody else? I have a bunch of Classic Seekers, but I didn't get every Classic Seeker because I need a character repeat. Did I do it again? I feel like I left one off last time, but I think that was the Autobot Brothers.
You said that.
Last time we talked about this on the show, I left them off.
See, that's what, like, Hasbro broke me on completionism, because on the trilogy with the Combiner Wars and Titan's Return and Power of the Primes, like, I got everything. Like, I have all the Titan's Returns. I have all the, the US. Well, I don't know. Would you count the BotCon stuff or Collectors Club stuff? Okay, so I don't have that, but like I said, like, US retail. And then I also have Takara stuff too. But anyway, as I'm nearing the end, like rounding in Power of the Primes, they release that trash Starscream with the trash stickers on that thing. I hate that figure so much. Like, it's just such a bad figure. And I hate those stickers that they used on all of that stuff. Like, it's just, they're
it was
so
real bad.
Awful. Those
it was like a bookend of terrible Starscreams, because we got that terrible leader class Starscream in Combiner Wars, the one that was like this freaking tall.
I didn't hate it.
I hated that thing. I was like, why the hell do I want a Starscream this big? This is like
because
big.
It looks like the comics that were out at the time.
I
It's out of
so
scale.
many of that.
How could I pose it with anybody? I couldn't put it next to my
That's why they released
Hegemon.
Thundercracker and Skywarp for you, so that you could pose them together by themselves.
But then they all.
Also, the one I've left off this time was Cybertron Crosswise. I've mold collected all of those, all the Bugattis.
See, my argument with those leader class figures at the time is that Hasbro's like, here's your masterpiece figures. Like, they're not masterpiece, like, whatever. Like no one would ever call them that, but they're the same size. So here you go. And so those are always my argument against people that complain about how new stuff is smaller, but it all scales together. I'm like, I would so much rather have these than all of those leader class figures that they released. Like it's like
only
why
that
do they
assortment
own
was
those?
not great in Combined Wars. They've drastically improved that assortment for Titan's Return.
They've improved. Yes.
We've got Six Shot and Overlord and Black Shadow, and
No,
they were
those
awesome.
are all good. But I'm saying, I'm trying to think of like what was the other ones that.
It was Megatron and
There's
Armada
like
Megatron.
a sound. I mean, the Soundwave was not great.
The
like,
Soundwave and
the
Blaster were terrible,
Blaster,
and the
right.
Seekers were just.
Right. So,
But Six Shot, Black Shadow,
Six Shot was
Overlord, fantastic. Yeah.
those are good.
Quick.
No Thunderwing
quick,
though. That was
no Thunderwing. Nope. We got a head. We got a little head,
good.
Right.
and then they gave Nitro Zeus the headmaster gimmick, so you could make a Thunderwing.
And I did that.
It looks good when you do it, yeah. And then quick switch was a cop out. We got.
He existed though.
He
And
existed,
that was what
but
counted at that point in time.
they sold us a picture that they didn't provide, which going back to '84, we're used to.
He existed, and he was better than the Fans Project one. So
He's pretty colors.
he is
I
pretty
don't know.
close.
I kind
Looks
of
like a
like
Christmas
that
tree.
Fans Project one.
I still have Mad Law and Nighty Night or whatever in my display because
Six Night
they're
or
both.
I
whatever.
I
had
love
that
them.
6 Night for like 3 weeks, and I sold it. I was like, "This is horrible. I hate it. Get out of here."
It lasted like a year with me, but it had the same fate.
His beast mode is. I still have in my display because I like him very much.
I almost feel like if there's a six changer that doesn't have crap modes, I would feel more uncomfortable with it. Like if it actually had, 6 good alt modes, I'd be like, oh, this makes me feel uncomfortable and threatened. Get rid of this.
Hang out with
Tradition.
Robots in Disguise, Megatron, and Galvatron. Those guys have 10 modes, and they're all fantastic, and they're all completely different. I do like that figure, but
It's a great
some
figure.
of that was some
Anything
of that was
that
a
has a hand
stretch.
mode is perfect.
Stretching and squinting and just like I am a mastodon now. Oh,
Okay,
you sure are.
I'm a bat. Now I'm a plane. They're different.
It has a
I'm a
hand
car.
mode.
Now I'm a hydrofoil. Oh,
Hand
okay,
mode.
Megatron. Let's. Oh, okay, Megatron.
But yeah, and I remember years ago when I first met some of the local Transformers collectors, and I'm introducing myself, and they're like, "Oh, what do you collect?" and whatever, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm a one per character collector. I only
When
collect
was
one. I know,
that?
right? This was how many years ago was this?
Little baby
Like,
Lucas.
I mean, this is before I met Anna or anything like that. I mean, it was 20. Was it? I don't know, like in the teens somewhere. But I can't remember which year it was. But yeah, like I hadn't went to any conventions yet at that point or anything. But yeah, like I was like, oh, I'm just gonna get the best representation of each character, and we'll see how that worked out. So.
Talk about my. Oh, you go, Anna.
Go ahead.
Mine's long.
Okay. I'll do a short part. I'll get back to you later. What I was going to say is that I realized that before I met all of you, so it really started with Sean. It's all Sean's fault in the end because I met him in a customization panel and he introduced me to Lucas, and then it just all spiraled out of control from there as I moved to Kansas, and it all got bad. But before that, I never had a focus. I never had a goal. I never had a set of rules or anything else. I just occasionally bought a toy Transformer when I thought it looked cool. Like I would go to a toy show or something and be like, "Oh, hey, there's one of those third-party things I've heard about." I found my my Fans Project Smart Robin that way. It was like, "Ooh, this is a cool toy I've never seen in a store before, and this is a different kind of engineering, and this has a cool transforming gimmick. I'm gonna get this." I didn't think, okay, let's go find out what the other Fans Project headmasters are. I didn't think, oh, let's go jump into third party. I just thought, I bought this one thing. It's fun and cool. I bought like one figure from every anime I liked, or every TV show I liked that I could get, or every video game I liked. And that was like it. You know, I didn't really have any Transformers goals. I didn't want an 84 shelf. I didn't want a movie shelf. I didn't want a complete set of headmasters or anything. None of that. Like, that just wasn't really my way of doing things. Then I met all of you. And I started having goals. And I started to have to establish rules.
That's actually kind of how it went with me, too. I started out as a child. But I watched Beast Wars and I watched my G1 tapes from Blockbuster. And I knew that there were toys, but it wasn't like I have to have all the toys. But I really wanted like lots of Beast Wars figures, and they were easy to come by because they were out at the time. That was cool. So I had a bunch of those, and then I had a tactile problem when I was a kid. I was not very good at fine manipulation, so I stopped buying Transformers for a little while because they were too complex for Christian and his bumbly fat fingers. I'm fine now. It's all good. But the Transformers I did still have, I remember in particular Beast Wars Razor Claw, the crab. It was very difficult for me to transform. And I look at that thing now, how difficult is that to transform? It's not. It kind of just falls over, put his head inside, and done. But couldn't do it. And also Beast Wars Scarab, the Scarab Beetle. Can't still. Bad figure, bad experience. But once I was able to start manipulating things, I got more and more Robots in Disguise. I got Optimus Prime and couldn't quite make him transform yet, but then we got there. And everything changed around Energon and Cybertron because Energon brought back combiners. And my mom helped me get all the combiners, and she hates shopping for toys, and she was able to get me a set for Christmas and my birthday because they're at the same time of year. It was great. And I was like, well, I have all these figures. I want to know more about them. So I went online. Horrible mistake. Terrible mistake. I've gone on, bits and pieces before. I knew about GoBots, but when like 2004 and 2005, people started being able to upload photos of their own stuff a lot more easily than they had in the past. So then I got to see people like Peter, not specifically Peter, I don't think at that time, but like Peter.
No, I wasn't sharing at that point. I was in a bubble.
Cool. But like show off these large rooms full of toys, and I was like, I want rooms full of toys. I want to show them off all together. Because the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that's what I started doing. And I would buy whatever I found at flea markets or whatever, and I'd get totes of broken stuff. And like, hey, it's all this stuff. And then I have to try and find the stuff to complete it. And then I would do like, not technically work because I was a minor at the local comic book store. I would like sort stuff for them. In exchange, they would give me toys or comics, which was cool. It was a good relationship. And so I had toys, and I kept getting more toys, and more toys, and more toys. And then, movies made it cool to have them again, and they were super available. So I kept getting stuff. And then it continued on. I graduated college. I had money, and then I was like, okay, now I can get like real toys. So I started collecting Masterpiece. I was like, yeah, Masterpiece is great. But then I was like, you know what? Everyone has Masterpiece. And also now I don't have a job. So then I got rid of all the Masterpiece. And now I'm here.
That's another
mostly
time.
The complete story.
That was a pretty complete story. Another time that I tried completion was when I first had a steady flow of money and a new line came out. Because that was freaking Armada. When that came out, I had a steady flow of money. I had a good paying for a high schooler job and a free, free amount of time to go get toys. And I got all of the first wave of Armada and found out for the 800th time backwards throughout history that I'm not a completionist. I'm not a completing collector.
All of my lawn mowing money went to toys. And then when I started selling drugs as a teenager, I spent all that money on toys. Sorry.
I'm sorry, what now?
Internet people, I worked in a pharmacy as a teenager. That's what I mean when I say I sold drugs. Anyway, so I'm getting a paycheck. It was 2008 when I started working. So the tail end of movie line was still there. So I was like, all right, get all of that crap. And Animated was on, so I got all of that, which I don't regret. It was just, I had money, and every bit of money I had was going towards toys. I don't do that anymore. I learned to make budgets.
I remember in high
That's probably
school.
the greatest change for me, is that I learned to budget appropriately.
See, you had that qualifier on the end, appropriately. I learned to budget.
Nice.
Some
That's part of the reason I got out of Masterpiece as well. Especially once, really once Titans happened, and then Power of the Primes. But when War for Cybertron started, I was like, all right, Masterpiece can really be done for me now. Because all those figures are, generally speaking, expensive. But are they, 4 or 5 times better for 4 or 5 times more the price? And I said no. That was me.
Well, and I feel like too, like even not a money thing. I mean, it seemed like that you just didn't enjoy the Masterpiece figures as much too.
Lucas,
like,
please tell the story of how you changed my collection. Lucas did this directly, single-handedly. He changed the course of my collecting.
Well, it's because all of your Detoffs, like you had your classics in or whatever, like your Chug and the Lego Bionicle, right, and whatever, right, like displaying that, and then you had like a little Walmart shelf in the corner with all of your like Masterpiece, like your Fans Toys, Dinobots, and whatnot. And I'm like, wait a minute, like you've got like $1,000 in figures on that shelf over there. Like, why are you like get rid of those? Come on. Like, so it's like obvious what is important to you and what's not based on, what you're displaying appropriately and what you have shoved on a, $20 Walmart shelf.
It's actually a dumpster shelf. I didn't pay any money for it.
Oh, well, there you go.
Sometimes you
I
need
still
someone
have
to
it.
point that out
I've
to
lit
you,
it up now.
though.
It's fine. Yeah, it does take a good friend to point that out to you. I did sell all of those, partly because of mostly because of Lucas, actually, and what he said and what he made me realize, but also because my goal was to get all the 84 bots, or season 1 bots, so including Dinobots and Jetfire. Yeah. And then I knew that Takara was never going to finish. I realized that Takara was never going to finish that set. And then I realized that combining all the various third-party ones, maybe I might be able to finish a set in another several years. But some of them are going to be better. Like, I adore those Fans Toys Dinobots. They're fantastic. But once I started getting rid of everything else on that dumpster shelf, it's fine now. I lit it up. It's nice. It's great. But once I started getting rid of all of those, I was like, well, I can let these go too. Plus, I finished getting my set right before they went super expensive. So I sold them at the beginning of super expensive. Also, I didn't have a job at that time, so my Fans Toys Dinobots paid my rent for 2 months. Thanks, Dinobots. And the rest is history.
Ron in the chat brings up a point as far as like the access to reviewers helps, kind of as an enabler as well. And I do think that there's a little bit, like, I don't necessarily know that it's not like a direct thing, to where you're like, oh, I'm going to watch, whatever reviewer, and because of that, I'm going to buy this figure. But I do think that it's like a lot of times, with the hype that comes out and, say whatever, like Fans Toys Astro Train drops or something like that, and everyone's like saying how amazing he is, and everyone's posting pictures of him and these like really good, great looking pictures, and then the reviewers come up and they're like, oh, this is a fantastic figure, whatever. Like, it is one of those things, especially like if you're on the fence about it, you're like, should I get it or not? And to be honest, like, I think that the fact that Fans Toys sells out so quickly now, like, actually kind of helps me out, because I feel like if it was one of those things where if it was still sticking around, I might be like, like, I want to check this out. I'm gonna go ahead and pick this up myself. But the fact that it sold out months ago, it's like, okay, well, whatever. Because I'm not the type of person, I will not overpay for a figure. Like, I'm sure that there's probably been a handful where I've had to pay a crazy late tax, but I'll pay a little bit of a late tax, but not like I'm not going to mortgage my house or whatever so that I can pay whatever ridiculous price some of that crap goes for.
Yeah, I won't either. I have that same kind of role of,
as well.
it has to be appropriately priced. You know, Christian and I have talked about that a lot, about like when you get a figure and it feels like it costs too much, it turns out it feels less fun. Like it doesn't bring as much happy when you get it for the right price as when you get it for the wrong price. If you just feel like something was mispriced, it's like, I don't know if I can ever enjoy this because it was mispriced.
It took me years to be okay with my MP10 because I paid way too much for it right before they announced like the first of several dozen reissues. Paid $250 for my MP10.
What's weird about that
Way
though
too
is
expensive.
like I don't want to pay a late tax on those types of figures, but then like if it's a vintage figure, I don't like it. It's a different
It's different.
headspace. It's like different that it's
Completely
like okay,
different.
well, yeah.
Well, that's when I start getting into, like I was saying earlier, where I'm looking at, for my budget, do I want to spend $300 on third-party what's his name, or do I want to spend $300 on this boxed zone thing with unused sticker sheet?
Right.
You know, it's easy to make that choice at that point. For late taxes, I hate paying them. And Fans Toys has a cult following. Like I don't think it's people who appreciate the toys anymore. I'm in a couple of the Fans Toys groups, and this is just a quick sidebar. I think it's a cult, and it's scary because they're just, yeah, it's weird. It's weird. It's really,
It's really odd. Yeah, I'm like Lucas said, I'm glad that they sell out fast too because I don't get tempted anymore. It used to be really easy for me to get caught up in hype of some new release, especially, you know, when third party was firing all cylinders around 2014 to 2017 or so. It was like, yeah, what, all this stuff is great. Oh, I have to get this and this and this. And then it's like, do I really have to get all of this? And the answer was no. Like 2014 Christian would have absolutely gotten Optus Pexis and Stellaris Promenade and Getaway and whatever else came out this year. Because I'm interested in those things. They look nice to me. I would have been like, oh, that looks nice to me. I'll just get. But I'm not that way anymore. Now, if Peter tells me that this Stellaris Promenade that he's bringing onto the screen is really super fantastic, I may consider it. I've been waiting for his opinion for a while. Yeah. Your headphones were off when I was saying that. But, yeah.
I know. I heard the last part, and he's so pretty, and he's like
very pretty.
His knees are awful. They're just fucking atrocious.
I don't need awful need figures. So.
And some parts of his transformation are a little bit under-engineered. He could have left. They could have been put him in the oven for 5 more minutes. He gets a 7 out of 10. I'll talk to you offline about this.
All right. Other ones like Fans Hobbies Naval Commander, which is Armada Prime. That one's been calling out to me all year, and it's like, do I not? Mm-hmm. I've been humming and hawing over it for 5 months. Whereas 2014 to 2017, Christian would have been like, pull the trigger, get it now.
The trouble with that is will Takara actually ever release an Armada Prime? Like,
maybe.
I don't know. Well, they had that
another decade.
That one test shot whatever that they showed off like years ago, and what is it, 2-3 years
ago?
It'll
probably come around soon.
It was 3 years ago. I was doing the same thing, pulling the trigger on everything, anything that came out, add-on kit, garage kit, whatever. For there was a period, probably around 2011 to 2016, because 2016 is when I came home from wherever I was, and it was just like, I'm exhausted, I'm done with third-party stuff. And now I have just dozens and dozens, if not scores and scores, of third-party figures that I can't sell. I mean, I can sell them for $20 because everyone is also selling all these same exact figures. Looking at those Fans Project Function X and Toy World, early Toy World stuff, and like old MMC, the Night Morpher and that stuff. And it's just like
I had all of that too. Just like
I can't get rid of it. I haven't really tried very hard because I see that I'm going to get nothing for it, and it feels like
Shockwave's about the only one that's worth money.
Yeah. So that's why I'm happy that I was able to turn that switch off with third party, and it's gotten easier. So I know that if I ever make the choice to change up my collecting habits in the future, I will. There will be initial pain, and there will be initial reluctance, and there will be an adjustment, but it's doable. I can quit whenever I want, you guys. I can quit whenever I want. And totally. I've been to rehab a couple times. So, this is just another form of my addiction. So yeah. Someone else start talking.
That's the thing is I feel like that, like, getting back into Masterpiece, like, it's almost stopped me from doing that because of the fact that some of the figures are so hard to come by that I don't want to pay that late tax. And so it stops me, because knowing that I want to complete it all, and that it would bum me out that I, am getting back into it, but I can't have XYZ figure, like, yeah.
I bought this kitty. Now I want the Transmetal Cheetor, which means I missed Skateboard Transmetal Optimus, which means I have to pay the late tax on him or gamble on a reissue, which might be 6 months from now or 5 years from now. And how long will I be able to live with a shelf with Transmetals on it or Season 2 cast members without frickin' Primal? So I will have to condition myself to not pay that late tax, or to just live with no Skateboard Monkey for me, or just throw a vintage one up there and just be like, Squint, it's fine, everything's fine.
Just put the Hasbro one out there, the Power of the Prime one.
That's Season 3.
That's Season 3.
Well, it's close enough.
You dolt. It's not close enough.
This guy and Optimal Optimus were not on screen at the same time ever. Gosh.
Ever.
Very important factoid.
Yeah, latex is important to know. Like, generally speaking, I don't spend more than $100 on individual figures anymore. Now, the Titans go above that. Certain third-party stuff goes above that. It's a thing in my brain now to make me stop and evaluate again. Because to me, $100 is a lot for a toy, and I still collect toys. So it's like, okay, think about this again for a second. Do you really want to spend this money on this? And if I do, it's fine. It's just it's a checkpoint for me.
It's a break.
Getting
you
something,
tap the brakes, and then you keep moving if you want to, or turn, get off the highway.
Exactly. So, my biggest example of that is when I sold my Bakano 6 set. I knew that I would never, ever, ever own those figures again, because I'm never, ever going to pay the price that they command, or the price that I got for them. That helped me put a down payment on a car. I'd rather have car money than toy money at the end of the day.
Anna, what's up?
I was just going to say, I think a lot of it comes down to, like, each of us finding our own idiosyncrasies, that we all have our own little things that we all kind of search for. And I think, like, Christian, you were talking a lot about how, like, having friends in the community can really help with that, because, what I was hearing was that you had this kind of, like, people are supposed to collect MP because MP is what you collect. It's the cool thing to collect. And then you found Lucas, and Lucas was like, oh, obviously kind of showing that he really does seem to enjoy the mainline stuff more. And then you were like, wait, someone else does this, and someone else tells me that it's okay to do this. Oh, wait, this is what I want to do. And that's a nice thing to do. And I found myself doing it both ways, right? Like, when I first came into the big fandom, when I first, started hanging out with Lucas and other of the KC people, and when I eventually joined the show and all that sort of stuff, like, I started to see, like, all those things I was supposed to be doing as a collector. Like, and some of those things, I really do enjoy, like getting third-party stuff. Like, that was something I never let myself do before, because I always thought the third party was overpriced, which a lot of it is. Some of it really isn't. It really varies. The numbers are bigger in general, and I've learned to be okay with that. I've learned that, some things you...
Third party. Some things you don't get unless you're willing to spend a little more money on them, that you
won't get otherwise. Like something that completely thrills me are these tiny, tiny Magic Square cassettes. And they are, more expensive than other cassettes are. They're like, this is a $10 equivalent figure, and this is a $5 equivalent figure, and this is what you get for $5. And I don't want it. So that's fine. But anyway, like, I found that, no,
she did.
I made it look like I did.
Something clanged.
I'm good.
The sound made me think that you actually.
I totally threw it. I threw it. Anyway, like, those are kind of like, good habits I picked up. But then the bad habit I picked up right away was hearing that other people character collected. And I was like, oh, I should character collect. And so I tried to character collect Ultra Magnus, because if I was to like rank, major characters like Ultra Magnus or Bumblebee, or like the characters that are always in the series that I really like as characters, and I ended up with a bunch of Ultra Magnus figures I hate. Like, I just don't like every toy of the characters I like. Like, there are poop Bumblebees, there are poop Magnuses, and I started owning poop Magnuses.
He's got to find an obscure enough dude to character collect. My character collecting guy hasn't had a new figure since 2014. It's fantastic.
And I'm kind of character collecting Glyph, and every time you've shown me that old Impossible Toys Glyph, it's always that like moment. I'm like, do I want to own a poop toy of Glyph? Because currently I own 2 Glyphs, and they're both good. Do I want to own a poop toy of her? I don't know. Maybe someday. But I've kind of, like, that character collecting was a big one for me. It was like, ooh, do I want to do this? I do. It's a cool thing to do. I thought I was enjoying it. And then I started to pick up Ultra Magnus figures off the shelf and be like, why in the world do I own this poopy toy? Especially like the Papa Toys Ultra Magnus, the Legends one. It was just like, every time I looked at it, I got angry at it. It's like, okay, why do I have something that makes me angry to look at? Making eye contact with him made me mad.
So you just had to character collect like Paul, where he collects like what is it, like Bumblebee, Grimlock, Starscream,
like 30
Optimus
characters
Prime, or whatever, and you're like wait a minute, that's like half the stuff. Like, by the time you, I mean, there's a lot of Bumblebees and there's a lot of Optimus Primes.
So personally, I think I finally get to the place where, like, I know it drives a lot of people crazy the way I collect, just because I kind of get whatever I want, right? Like, I kind of, whenever there's something I see that's really cool to me, if it calls out to me, I should go ahead and get it. I shouldn't get every figure from that line, because I probably don't care about most of the other ones. I shouldn't get all my figures at that size, because I probably won't like some of them if I do. I should just get the ones that call out to me specifically, and that means that I'm going to have a really weird, eccentric, mixed collection. Eccentric eclectic was the word I wanted. I have a very eclectic collection, and that is way more fun to me when I look and my figures don't go together, but one of them is a moth lady that turns into a baby carriage, and wow, I found out that I literally ended up with the Lady J figure because of her elbows being such a big talking point for everyone in the Discord. It was fun to me to get the first G.I. Joe figure with double female elbows, because that was a joke. That amused me. It amused me to get this version of Deep Cover, to get the blue Deep Cover, because I made him into Deep Blue, the chess playing computer. And like, all of those weirdnesses are what really gets me excited about collecting the figures.
His name is Rollback.
Yes.
Now you changed it.
Yeah.
You can be both. It's your collection.
I made 2 names, but yours is Rollback. Mine is still Deep Blue. Yeah, I bought a chessboard for him to sit by and play. Yeah, I have my tiny chessboard.
You were committed to the bit.
And I am committed to this, and he sits on my shelf playing chess with everyone else, and that to me is so much more fun than having a complete siege line, or so much more fun than having all the alternators, or so much more fun than having all of the Magic Square figures, because Magic Square's made a few poopers. As much as I love them, trying to collect all of them means I would collect some turds, and I don't collect turds. I collect things I enjoy. That's been my big change in my collecting. It's just kind of like realizing that I need to be okay with how eclectic it is, even though a lot of my friends tell me, you're doing it wrong. I have to just be kind of like, well, yeah, I like doing things wrong.
It's your own collection, so it's just for you. It's like, it's not like,
Right.
I mean, whatever. Outside of some fellow collectors, it's not like that your husband's like, oh wow, I'm so impressed by your collection, like,
Yeah, he doesn't use the word impressed.
Anna, you touched on it too, that your collection's for you. You're not doing it to impress anybody else.
Right.
I was collecting Masterpiece because that's what you're supposed to do. I was getting the vintage reissue line because that's what you're supposed to do if you're an adult collector. It's like, maybe I don't have to do that.
Oh, I was getting all those damn select retakes for a while because it's what you guys were doing. And I eventually caught myself and said, oh God, why am I doing this? I don't know who the hell this is or care.
I think the biggest change in my collection, I think it's happening to me now. I kind of feel like it's time to change something up. And what it is, it feels like with especially Earthrise and now Kingdom, that for certain characters, I won't have to buy other versions. And I know, we say that and we're like, okay, this one's new, and okay, it's the new thing, I gotta get it. And in 3 years, you have another Starscream. But it's like, this kind of feels like maybe these are the toys I wanted all along. And now that I have them, I don't really need other versions.
But
we'll check back with me in 3 years.
Did you get the Kingdom Ultra Magnus?
I did.
So that's the thing, is that I felt like that was the one where it's like, well, like, do I really need this?
Do you just have everything right in front of you, Peter? Everything we're ever going to mention is right in front of you.
So my question though too, Ron had brought up in the chat about the late tax on, like Siege Skywarp and the Coneheads and all that type of thing. Have you considered, like, when you see some of those eBay prices, of selling your figures out of the collection to, just to get some extra money?
No.
And whatnot?
It helps push that decision along for me. Like, I sold my Siege Seekers when that was happening, and also we knew that Earthrise versions were coming and they were in the Earth mode, because that's what I knew I wanted more.
Right.
So in another world where I would have just sent those in a box all together to Nick and he could deal with it, whatever. I sold them myself for lots of money, and people made fun of me on Facebook, and then I sold them for more than I listed them on Facebook for, and that's what happened. I was on the front edge of selling Skywarp for a ton of money.
Oh, so what I was saying about Ultra Magnus is not that, like, it's a bad figure. Like, it's a good figure, but it's a slight upgrade from the Siege figure. And so the question is like, if you come out with the whatever, the next version of Starscream or whatever it may be, like, whatever the character is, another year from now, are you, you say you're not going to get it, but yeah. I don't know. I have a hard time not getting those, just because, like, I don't know.
When we get Coronation Starscream in Studio Series 86 and use the exact tooling of the Kingdom one, or whatever one. Kingdom? Earthrise. Thank you. But he has a crown and a cape now. And he's going to have crown and a cape now, which means it's marginally better. We've had this on different shows too, where Hasbro knows what they're doing when they make things incrementally better, so that we keep coming back for the thing, the little thing, whatever the thing is, whether it's Magnus has gogglies now and a truck chest that doesn't look like RID or Carrobot. I'm coming back for that, but some people want the Carrobot version, and some people want the this instead of the that, and the broken. To Christian's point, I agree. If you feel, and this is for anybody, for any part of their collection, for whatever they collect, it doesn't even have to be Transformers. If you feel that you've gotten to the point where I have gotten the things that I was after, I did it. Mission accomplished. You can quit. You can quit anytime. You can change the rules at any time. To all three of you said it. It's your collection. It's your rules. You don't let other people influence you. Don't, because you're going to fall down a rabbit hole and it's going to suck. I hid in a hole, afraid to show my head for years because I didn't want people to know how freaking manic I was about Transformers, and have been for decades. And when I finally came up for air and looked around, I was like, oh shit, I am the craziest person on the block, except for him and him. Right? Yeah, screw it. And I just kept being crazy. I don't care. Whatever. That's not going to change. And then the fact that people were telling me, oh, wow, you really are crazy, didn't change what I was doing. It didn't change my trajectory. Didn't change my rules, because what I collect is my stuff for me. I don't care. I want all the packaging variants. I want all the paint deco variants on power core combiners or whatever the heck it is. I want it because I want it, because I told myself I would get it. Am I going to get everything ever? No. Am I going to get the Convoy trophy from the Takara Gala? No. Maybe. I don't know. It's not going to stop me from trying. So there you go. Am I going to get G2 Semicons? You know?
If anybody could get that stuff, I would bet on you.
Yeah. I've gotten some things.
I think a key thing is, friendship is part of it too. I mean, we sometimes tell you you're crazy, but it's never in a derisive way.
From you guys, it's not.
Right.
It's not. Right.
Friends don't do that.
I feel like it's different though, like to the average person, they look at whatever collections and stuff, and they're like, okay, this is different.
They look at all our collections and think we're overboard, like even the smallest ones.
Right. So to a non-collector, but I do think, like in I think it was Ron that brought up like that there was he has a coworker that collects shoes and whiskey, and it's like it's one of those things where I don't know, like cool, I have buddies like that too, where they have this crazy whiskey collection, and I enjoy checking out his whiskey collection myself. So yeah.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. Like I find all collecting to be fine. Like anytime anyone tells me they have like a weird collection, like if they told me they collected sneakers or something, I'd be like, oh, that's cool. That's fun for you. A student of mine, her husband collected knives. And like I had that like short reaction of, ooh, knives are scary. And then I was like, but I can understand. There's a lot of different types and designs and really cool like engravings and whatnot you can do with them. So yeah, it totally makes sense to me. But I've realized that I don't like putting up collections in my house that I don't think look cool. Like if I don't like something, if I don't think that it looks cool, I don't want to put it up in my house. So we inherited my husband's mother's collection of small ornamental lighthouses, and they're in the garage right now waiting to be set up somewhere, and I really don't want to put them out. Like I really don't want a collection of little ornamental lighthouses or the snow globes either, because those are not
good. Legends combiners really attack them.
Yeah, there you go.
Have them hang out with my Legends figures because they're just
Omega lifts one up and uses it as a bat. It's great. Integrate into the collection.
It's like I really value them as collectibles. I say like, this is cool. It made her happy, but I don't want them up in my house.
I don't think any lighthouses appeared in Gen 1.
Hang on, I'm coming with you on this journey, Peter.
It could go with your Rescue Bots collection, right? Did they have a lighthouse in Rescue Bots?
They had a lighthouse.
They would like lighthouses. They would accept them as their friends. But my point was just that I just don't enjoy having everything out as collectibles. Like we have a couple ornamental plates. I don't understand why you would put those out on display.
My mom had a plate display when I was a kid. She still does, and she has precious moments. And I don't know, my mom's a collector of things. We've talked about on a different show, but yeah, I wouldn't put a plate out on display except for my BotCon plates, because BotCon plates, and my Transformers Gen 1 dining set, and I've got a GoBots dining set, and I've got TV trays, and that stuff's cool. So put that on display. I was working through because I got more GoBots recently, and Yeah. So I'm trying to figure out how to display my GoBots and my Masters of the Universe stuff.
That reminds me, like, do they have the do you have like little TV trays, the little metal ones? Man, I kind of want some of those. How much?
Get
go
those.
for?
Get the lunch boxes. Go for
those
it.
expensive? The TV
No.
trays.
You can get the TV tray
Okay.
for like $40. $40 shipped.
Yeah.
What's really hard to find
I'm
is the
assuming the
trash
shipping
can.
would be yeah. See that's what like, but then I don't know, like where do you stop there? You know, like
You
that's
don't.
yeah, that's the thing that's hard is that I feel like when I start like sending pictures of trash and I'm like, hey, like Peter, Nick, do you guys need this trash? Like before I throw it in the garbage.
No, I said the trash can.
No,
Trash
I know,
can.
but I'm saying literal like, cause the like if you buy like a package of Twinkies with Transformers on it, you gotta check with Nick first to see whether or not he has that variant.
That's true.
of-
I've done that.
You have to
Done that.
check with Nick. For that sort of stuff, you don't have to check with me.
Peter's already got it.
No, I don't have all of the food packaging food promo items, something that came in the package. Yeah, I got all that. I've got your Ziploc stickers and iron-on transfers and all that nonsense. But and cereal stuff. I have cereal stuff from Qatar because there was an RID cereal pack-in General Mills or Post cereals in Qatar of all places, and I was like,
pretty cool.
yeah. So Nick has a set of those now, and I have a set of those because that's what we were doing at that point. But yeah, artifacts. Once you start digging through artifacts, that's a hard one to stop because there's always just licensed merchandise junk that Hasbro is happy to, here, yeah, you can put a logo on that piece of junk. Cool. And I'm happy to buy it. There's an artifact
There's a
group on
whole section
Facebook.
of
You should
Amazon up there.
Yeah,
Oh yeah, I joined that Facebook group.
it's fun. There's a guy, another Nick on there who's like, he is deep in the artifact game, and he has an impressive collection. Just like, whoa, dude, I want some of that. Mm-hmm.
So now, does he display that stuff? That's why I always wonder with some of those things, if because I think that like a World Cup display could look really good, but then I think it could also look really bad if you don't display it well.
Depends on. I mean, obviously, we're way off topic, but it's a favorite. You have to curate your display with what you want to display, and you have to display it well. If you have everything you own is loose or in trash condition, then you're probably not going to have a great display as far as those weirdo artifacts and stuff go. But if you've got all the board games, all the puzzles, all the card games, the lamp, the dining set, the couple of lunch boxes, and some other just toothbrush. Was it the Optimus Prime oral care station and whatever else?
Eraser,
Yeah, there's
zipper pulls.
Yeah, there's zipper pulls, there's bag clips, there's multiple erasers from different years that come in slightly different decos.
The packs of the tattoos.
Mm-hmm. If you've got all that
good stuff.
there's a fun way to display all of those things without it looking like I got a pile of junk. So yeah.
I mean, I would argue that this is on topic because maybe I'm thinking about changing my collection to all that stuff.
No,
Do
that's
it.
something you could do. Like, I definitely think of like that is my artsy side colliding with my collector side, because when you talk about all those artifacts, as you said, or all the like Twinkie boxes and wrappers and whatnot, like those aren't going to look like really great on a display. But imagine if you made a fun collage of them and you put that up on your wall, a collage of all the different like advertisements and packets and fun little crossover arts and everything. That could make a really cool like piece of art to have in your house, and you would be destroying the actual items. Like it goes against the collector's instincts,
I
but
get my sister to
you're
destroy
also
items
making a
for me on occasion
collage.
for that sort of stuff.
That's great. It's fun.
Here, I'll go grab one. Give me a moment.
Hey. Yep.
Christian,
You're gonna be
turn
okay,
off this
Peter.
camera mid-show.
Someone start talking.
Oh yeah, we have to keep talking. It's a job.
Oh, we're talking now. Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
There he
oh,
is.
that looks neat.
Hey.
So this is a box that my sister made me to contain these coasters that we made last year. They're just coasters with symbols on them, and we cut up some. These are all promo books from like when Combiner Wars and Thrilling 30 had books that came with them.
Mm-hmm.
And she cut those up and decoupaged them onto this box for me.
That's
which is
really cool.
Oh, that's great.
Really cool.
It is
I
cool.
also have a table and like a small foot locker that's like this.
So now, did she randomly pick the panels, or was there a specific, like, I want this issue decoupaged into the box?
I wouldn't say they were random choices because she's got a really good eye for this sort of thing, but I didn't make any special requests.
Yeah.
I remember you showing me the coasters. Those are great.
Here's one from this comic is like the part of Target 2006. It came with the Universe Springer versus Ratbat set. Actually, it came with the opposite one of those because they switched the comics. But yeah, it's there. She was like, oh, I really like this art, so she did that. Yeah, Dirge and
I like that a lot. That's really cool. Like I like
so
the
she
idea of
put a
just
lot of
having
bunch of
art
that
stuff.
on there. Yeah, so I destroy comics, but I get really cool decoupage art out of it.
No, that's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Also, I put this giant ass symbol on it because I thought it looked cool. There you go. So I don't know if you want to destroy your antique advertisements like Anna was talking about, but hey, I've destroyed these and one day they'll be antique, so who knows?
Depends on what it is, I suppose.
Yeah, it depends on what you're doing with it. Like if it provides a way for you to enjoy it, you know, it can be fun. Upcycling is actually pretty entertaining.
What did you buy, Destron?
I bought a bunch of merch, not from the US, not from Europe, and not from Japan. It'll be here soon. It's stuff that I don't think any of us have. No.
Nice.
You'll see. You'll see when it gets here. Rick will be like, "Does that exist?" No. It'll be great.
Right.
And then
So
Nick
we need to
wanted
do
Rick-
another ouch my wallet with Rick so that you can show it off and be like, "Hey Rick, do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have this?" So
Ouch, my
God.
surprise.
So much stuff,
You do have so much stuff.
and it's like unopened stuff. I gotta go through it. Well, this one thing is open, but it's not exciting. Oh, that's my wallet. I got the classics Cybertron Optimus Prime.
Woo!
Woo.
I have a huge pile of weird things I can always show off at Ouch. Like
check that box.
they'll just make people stare at me. Be like, why do you have this?
I have absolutely nothing for Ouch right now.
I'm more excited. I'm more excited about showing off my like Christmas flavored Micromaster knockoff than I am about my good toys. So this is great. Just random.
I feel like all of my, changes and whatnot and focusing on my collection is always like ultimately like I'm trying to figure out like what's my end game, like where do I want to be in 5 years, like that, whatever thing that you always bring up. But I kind of feel like that's like what I'm trying to do now is like actually focus in and not mess around with, like you said, like buying Legends or just something else, whatever. It's like I kind of feel like that the Hasbro mainline is the stuff that I've kind of saw myself wanting, and so that's kind of where I decide, you know what, like I'm just gonna get rid of this other extraneous stuff, like, and not add to that stuff, because that's, even though some of it is cool and I would really like it, like that's not the focus of my collection, and I know that I will eventually get rid of it. So why buy it in the first place?
And I think, it really just comes down to us all kind of finding what really makes us happy in our collecting. What is it that really is just clicking with us? And, you always talk about having an end game. For me, part of it is literally not having an end game. I like not having a goal with this. I like it to be something that just like kind of happens. Sometimes I'll see a toy release that I just don't care about at all. And sometimes I'll see a toy release that is just so motivating. it becomes the new goal. It's like, I have to have that. Like, you know, Eris, the MMC figure, is starting to show up. Someone I know actually got theirs already, so I'm hoping that it comes soon. And that became instantly that motivating, because it was just like, that is such a like weird thing that happened. The way the events all went up, plus the way the figure looks, plus what the figure is, all appeals to me, so that instantly became, you know, part of the ever-changing goal I have in my collection. I think that's just better for me. Like, that actually makes me happy. Like, making a release schedule, that doesn't get me so excited unless it's stuff like that. You know, Calculation King, that was something I waited for forever. Like, I was literally waiting on the thing for 3 freaking years. 3 years based on some art I saw on a forum. And that was so motivating. This Calculation King is perfect. Beautiful.
Sorry, that was my release schedule. I forecast now.
No. I was mostly talking about your release schedule. It was like, I see how that helps you out, and I see how that helps me out with the budget too. But it's not motivating at all. Like, it's not exciting to me to have that. It's helpful from a budgeting perspective, for damn sure.
So, Christian, when there's leaks, do you put those on your release schedule, or do you wait for Hasbro to actually announce them?
It's not a release schedule. It's just a schedule of what I'm spending in what month. So it's basically tracking all my pre-orders.
So you would wait for Hasbro to put it up first. Like, you wouldn't put
yes.
I'm trying to think of a figure
like T-Rex is not on the list.
Okay. Yeah.
Even though he's probably coming out this month.
I was gonna say, technically he is like been spotted, right? Like, isn't he in Australia?
Yes.
I think, yeah.
But I don't live in Australia, so.
Right, but do you know that
T-Rex go to the June
Australia,
budget? Does T-Rex go to the July budget? I don't know yet.
Right.
But he'll go on the calendar once I do know. But Lucas, your in-game and my Omega collection, I think, are very similar. And right now, I'm kind of holding off on selling too many things because I kind of want to see how everything looks together. I'm limited by the space of where I live presently, but once I am not limited, I kind of want to get it all out, everything I have, and say, this is what I have. What fits and what doesn't fit.
That's an interesting point. Now that we're in the new house or whatever, and I've got the front room is all whatever it is, and then I've got the Gen 1 room, I don't know how my motivation is going to keep up for some of these other lines. For some of the newer stuff, and for the things that I'm missing, I'm definitely, because I have actual written out checklists that my brain screams at me about on a daily basis. But for like newer things, I find my motivation. I get hyped. I'm like, yeah, here comes the whatever, Cyberverse Dinobots. Neat. I'm excited. You can see her. You can hear the excitement. I'm excited. I'm genuinely excited. But it's like, okay, here comes the next thing. Cool. We need a kid line. Neat. And I'm wondering what's coming after Kingdom. We know kind of what's coming after Kingdom, but but what's coming after Kingdom? Are we? Where are my 1988 characters? So that keeps me hyped and hoping and hopeful. And my cat is just the most adorable little dude. Anyway, but once I have the Gen 1 room set up completely, I haven't had my Gen 1 toys set up since 2003. So I was looking at my counts the other day, and I was at 1,900 and just shy of 2,000 figures a decade ago, and now I'm just shy of 5,000 figures. So 5,000 different pieces in my collection, and that's not even counting everything. That's just Transformers. That's not third-party He-Man, G.I. Joe, Mask, Wheeled Warriors, whatever else. So with the space that I have now, I wonder what my rules are going to look like a year from now or 5 years from now. Or once the kids move out, do I get to claim their rooms? I think I do. I think I got dibs.
But yeah, that is going to be a great question, I feel like, Peter, is like, once you set up your display in your house, like any of the stuff that you still have in totes and whatnot, like, are you going to want to get rid of that.
Will I care?
Or is it something too where you're like, you know what, if it's not display worthy, do you keep it in your collection? Like, is that kind of like how you decide on what you really want and what you don't? Because you're like, okay, like, I just don't really care about this. Your Bumblebee movie, whatever that junk was,
All of your Titan heroes, dude. You got to get them all out.
All of my Titan heroes, all my evergreen stuff, my authentic Family Dollar things, all of the multiple repacks of Creo, all of that delightful stuff. Will my rules change to a point where it's like, well, I need space for a tote. I'm out of space for totes because the house is only, it's not infinite anymore. I can't just keep renting storage units. We're in the finite closet now. I can, but I like my house and I don't want to leave it. Not to do toys. Having everything in one place for the first time in ever, forever, it feels really good. So yeah, my rules are going to change. I feel it coming, and I'm afraid of it, but I'm also kind of embracing it because I want to see where it goes. Because as long as I have that Gen 1 room, and as long as I have my classics room and a place for my He-Man, my G.I. Joe, and my GoBots and Mask and Wheeled Warriors, whatever, all the series that I care about, I don't care about Silverhawks or Brave Star. I just don't. I don't care about Thundercats.
I've heard of 3 of those.
They're great. They're worth checking out.
Oh, fine.
Yeah. As long as I have...
Last time your Gen 1 room was up, I was 11 years old and not yet a full collector. That was 2 years away.
So yeah. Rules change.
And sometimes rules can be stressful. Like I do have my rule that if I own something, it has to be displayed. And there are sometimes things that have like meaning and are cool to me that look terrible on display. Like there's no good way for me to display that's knockoff watch robots, but I do enjoy owning it. Right? This thing is fun to me. It's silly. It's bright yellow.
Why did you buy a bright yellow Mean Time?
It was a gift.
Does it
from a
does
friend.
it keep time?
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay. That's why you buy it.
It is a functioning watch. I didn't buy it. It was a gift.
Okay.
But I
Cool.
still really enjoy it. Like the bright yellow and the fact that it's like a weird KO. But where the hell am I going to display this thing? I'm not going to display it. So it lives on my desk for the last
sneak it in
half
somewhere.
year, right? I guess I have to.
Just
I have to.
actually
It's
wear
the
it
rules.
as your watch.
I try. It's just a little bit too small to be comfortable.
Yeah, the original Mean Time was like that too. Hey, Destron, what time did the Mean Time toy display? This is an easy one for you.
I don't know.
You do know.
I don't know.
It was 7:47.
I knew that.
I knew you knew that. If you ask me what the black repaint did, I can't tell you that one. Sorry.
Yeah,
I don't remember his name at this moment.
Yeah, this one they turned into a functioning watch, so you
Meantime,
can see that it's blinking.
That's really cool.
That's an advantage, yeah. I remember seeing those at one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're super cheap. They're super cheap. And fun.
The originals did not function, and it was kind of lame. Although Real Gear was kind of neat.
I honestly didn't know it functioned for like the first 3 months I owned it because I just assumed it didn't, like the original. And then one day I was just playing with it, pressing the buttons on it. And I was like, oh crap, I'm setting the time. What's happening? Then I realized the setting time on cheap watches is hell, so I just kind of threw it aside. But
Yeah.
If you don't collect KO garbage like that, the rest of us collectors have to deal with Heinrad, and that's a whole other set of problems.
he's a thing.
He is a thing.
What's wrong with displaying him?
Oh, I didn't even realize. Is it Transformer Tuesday tomorrow?
Well, it has been. They haven't announced anything, but it
Who
has been
knows when
Transformer
it's
Tuesday for the
Transformer
Right,
past.
but they
Tuesday.
just drop crap.
They just drop stuff now.
So
Maybe it's T-Rex Tuesday.
Ooh.
There you go.
He was on the Target site over the weekend. They updated the collectible section, and he was like right there.
Trek Stay
He's not.
2.
He's not on the site, but his picture was part of the link. He's
That
he's
could
got
be
one.
it.
Also, maybe that weird
Scum.
4-pack we keep hearing about. The Worlds Collide 4-pack.
Forgot about that.
That's just reminded me pretty soon
Which
it's
is-
going to be It's gonna be Ween Finger Wednesday sometime soon.
Yeah, did you get all those emails today, Hannah?
Yeah, I got the it's about to come. Prepare yourself, and I was like, yes,
I
Ween
got
Finger, I
this.
can't
Yeah.
wait.
What is this?
There's other figures. The GameStop figures will be coming soon, so that includes the Finger of Weens.
Wing Finger and Scorponok and Trex.
Yeah, those other guys and Ween
okay.
Finger.
I didn't realize that they're actually shipping now.
There wasn't the shipping notification. It was, hey, the release date's like in a week. Get ready. Prepare yourself.
It was like prepare yourself, and I am prepared for Ween Finger. I'm so excited.
I'm going to make that pile of bones, and that will be what I do with my fossilizers.
Pretty excited about Scorponok too. I like scorpions.
So Anna, what's book
Anyway,
club this week? Do you know?
Book club this
It appears to be More Than Meets the Eye 39 through 41, according to the comment from Zaldron. We just finished the Combiner Wars. It is 8:30 p.m. on Sunday nights on the Discord.
When you say
And that's
30
Central
PM,
Time.
What? Yeah, thank you.
Central
So that's
Time
9:30
Zone.
Eastern, if you're
My
Eastern.
time zone. Book Club is a fun place where we talk about comic books together as friends. Sometimes we temporarily become enemies because of our differing views on things like art and writing and content, all of it. But then in the end, we all gather around the great capitalistic spending god known as Transformers, and we all become friends at the end of the night. It's a great time.
There you go.
Everyone should join.
Well, do you guys have any additional thoughts that you want to add before we wrap things up?
Your collection is your own. Your rules are your own. You can change them at any time. You don't have to change them at all. Do what you want to do. Have fun with it, and make some friends.
The dorkiest comment we can make as Transformers collectors is that change is the whole purpose. So when your collection changes,
that dorky comment.
Well, I win. When your
you
collection changes, when your goals change, that's very natural. It should be something you enjoy and just have fun with it. What the heck? Did I really steal your thunder, Christian?
Yeah, that was it. Yeah, you did it better than I would have, though, so congrats.
Wow, way to go. Well, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight, and thank you to everyone in the chat. Thanks to Zaldron and Catherine and Ron and Jay, and Phil was in there as well. Enots, I think, earlier was in there.
Peacemail.
Yeah, that's Phil.
Peter.
Yeah, yes. So there you go.
B.
And this week, have we figured out what we're doing on microcasters? Are we doing the Black Ironhide or something else, or?
We haven't talked about it. We can do something. If anyone in the audience would like to recommend what we talk about on microcasters, feel free to try. If we have it, we might be able to do it. You never know.
We'll do our best.
Yeah.
There you go. Weird baby carriage figures.
I would be happy to review that. You just all have to buy copies.
And then wait.
I can tell you where to get it.
Wait 3 months for it to come from China.
Yeah, that's a problem.
So, yeah, but anyway, but yeah, thank you guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, everyone.
Good night. Thank you.